The views and opinions expressed in this broadcast are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of any agency of KUNV or its affiliates.
Russell Mays, recipient of the Associated Press Citation Award for breaking news coverage, author of Fear Profits You Nothing and Tell 'Em Anything, holder of 2 patent pendings, awarded diplomas in architectural and mechanical engineering, certification in avionics and radar system operations and development, United States Air Force, diploma in film and television production and performance, winner of the Good Citizenship Award from the Daughters of the American Revolution, and an all-around good egg.
Good morning. And what a glorious day today is. Yep, we're about 1 minute after the hour 8 o'clock on a Saturday. Welcome aboard, everybody. I hope everyone is enjoying a beautiful, cool, crisp Saturday morning today. It's only 70 degrees on the outside here in Las Vegas. Temperatures are slowly decreasing, which makes life better for everybody. And they will soon be complaining about the deep snow on the East Coast and the Northwest. But that's what you get for living there. So, no offense. I used to live there. I like the desert. I like the desert warmth. Even though it's going to be cooler and crisper today, it's a lot better than having 4 foot of snow and digging it out. But that's my opinion. Don't yell at me. I've been yelled at enough for the last couple of weeks anyway. Don't need to be yelled at by snow. So, what are we going to talk about today? Woo! Baby, has it been a roller coaster ride, has it? And it's still not over. We are coming into the roller coaster train station, as they say. This ride of Judge Brett Kavanaugh is almost at its end. Thank goodness. It's funny how something like this will knock all the other news worldwide off the front pages. A lot of things went wrong during this confirmation hearing. A lot of things went wrong. And I do believe that most of it is due to sheer stubbornness, I guess, and ideology and ignorance of what's going on in the world. Self-preservation for a lot of it. So, I don't even know where to begin. It is such a rat race. They've gotten to the point where they're going to, because of what the radical left, and it was the radical left, all these Me Too movement people, all these anti-right and abortionists and whatever you want to call them, has caused this. They are actually entertaining and will close the offices to the Senates off. No more, it won't be public people anymore. Just because of what you guys have done. Gotten out in there and literally harassed senators in their face for no reason at all. You have an axe to grind, that's perfectly fine. Grind your axe. But who the heck is going to listen to you when you're in and yelling in somebody's face, not only in the library, Jiminy Christmas, in the elevator, or in the restaurants, or even in your own hallway, I mean, one of the chants they kept on saying is, look at us, tell it to our face, tell it to our face. Okay. And that was towards Senator Manchin. Why would you want to talk to somebody like that? Think about it. Why would you want to even discuss the plastic straw issue in California with somebody that is so asinine and mean and evil that has already judged you before you even said anything? That was brought up in Senator Collins' speech that she did. What a fantastic speech that was, too. Unbelievable. I was actually blown away by it. Didn't sit well with a lot of people on the left, though. And they didn't even hear her after her speech was done. Actually, I was a little apprehensive of the speech myself. I am glad that she is going to vote to confirm Kavanaugh. Even though it's not set and they're still doing their 30-hour negotiation as we speak now. She laid it out on the line like a senator is supposed to do. One of the things that I got from the speech, and there's a few excerpts in there that I want to go over. It was well over an hour, almost an hour long. I won't go through the whole speech. But one of the things that I noticed about her speech was the fact that she took the facts. She actually broke down the facts. There was no emotion in it. There was no judgmental of you did this and you did that. No. She broke it down and found everything that Brett Kavanaugh has done in the past under the judicial robe, if you will. Unbelievable. Even during her speech, the disrespect of her and the actual institution, to be honest with you, was shown. They had to gavel and arrest people in the gallery. Again, because they even said, whether you agree or don't agree, this is not the place to do it. Nobody voiced their opinion one way or the other. They got in there and they started screaming, vote her down, she's ugly, she blah, 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 blah. Unbelievable, unbelievable. Even outside, as we speak now, they are doing the same thing, protesting, saying he's wrong. I heard something, I was... couple of things that I heard about this. And it makes a lot of sense. Especially with this sex allegation, rape. And oh my God, it's gotten to as far as he's a serial rapist. Are you kidding me? Okay. It happened 36 years ago. There are no witnesses to the act. She's under psychological evaluation. That doesn't mean much. 90% of the people in this country are under psychological evaluation, and I think the rest of the world is 100% of psychological evaluation. Heck, I'm under psychological evaluation for even listening to the rhetoric of the other side. But they said, and it's been presented, no matter what you believe, if you believe Dr. Ford or if you believe Judge Kavanaugh, Nobody knows for sure. There's only 3 people that know the true answer to that question. Dr. Ford, Judge Kavanaugh, and God. Nobody else on this planet knows anything else but that. It was said on the news that the investigation should have had DNA investigating into it. I fell out of my chair. DNA? What is this? The Monica Lewinsky kept dressed still? DNA? From 36 years ago? When nothing happened? I mean, there was no fluid exchanges. There was no bed sheets kept. There was no, you people have gone off the deep end. Literally gone off the deep end. Well, let's get into this, I guess. First off, Senator Manchin. Interesting case this is going to be. He is a West Virginia senator, I do believe. And he is in a huge Republican state. I don't know if that had any bearing on him voting for Kavanaugh. He is the only Democrat that is voting for Kavanaugh. The only one. Which means he is going to be chastised by his own party. Because if you have anything to do with the Democrats, you must walk in lockstep with them. Otherwise, they will string you up from the highest yardarm. Or they'll keel haul you in some form or fashion. They'll probably get they already did. They got all the soldiers out there yelling at them, tell us to our face, tell us to the face. But they don't want to hear it. They really do not want to hear the truth. And the truth matters in this case hugely. And one of the biggest things that matter about this is there is no basis or foundation for any of it. Okay, there's the things that I do want to get into. Let's see what we got down here. I've got Senator Collins' speech right here. Her entire speech. I'm not going to read the whole thing. It's the transcript. But I did go through it, and I read it. And I actually watched it on TV, and I was actually blown away. I was absolutely blown away by this woman. I thought she was going to be a yes vote eventually. But after watching her and listening to her speech, I have to pull back on some of the rhetoric I was saying about her, because I thought she was the type of person. And this is what's happening with our Senate and the House and the Representatives. Is my personal feelings is, I thought she was just doing it to get her 15 minutes of fame. Oh, I'm going to hold back on it. I'll get everybody in a frenzy and all the media talking about me and everything else. And that's what a lot of them are. I mean, if you ever watch C-SPAN and see how the rhetoric of them speaking on there, it's just to get up there and listen to themselves talk. Well, after listening to her speech and reading it here, this woman actually did her research. She is the only one, both Democrat and Republican, that actually came out, made a decision based on the facts that was there. She didn't have any emotional bearing on it. She didn't cry in the corner. She didn't. She got harassed a lot for her actions. But she did not base her decision on some idiot Me Too group yelling in your face about, tell it to our face. You don't like us. You don't want women's reproductive rights and all this. Please stop. Even though that's a whole nother can of worms, killing babies is not a reproductive right in my mind. It might be in a lot of people's minds, but my personal opinion on abortion means the person that's having the abortion does not care enough about life and very self-centered that they, both male and female, can't use protection or abstinence or cross your darn legs. But instead, you run the risk of getting pregnant and then you go down and kill the baby because you're not conscionable about a new life. 500,000 babies have been killed. All right. I don't want to get into that weeds on that because I want to be talking about Susan Collins, Senator Collins' speech here. Okay, let's see. One of the couple of big things that she started off with is in her speech. It says, the president nominated Brett Kavanaugh on July 9th. Within moments of that announcement, she even brings this up right away. Within moments of that announcement, special interest groups raced to be the first to oppose him, including one organization that didn't even bother to fill in the judge's name on its pre-written press releases. They simply wrote that they opposed Donald Trump's nomination of XX to the Supreme Court of the United States. A number of senators joined the race to announce their opposition, but they were beaten to the punch by one of the colleagues who actually announced opposition before the nominee's identity was even known. Think about this, people. Chuck Schumer said it best. They will do everything by all means possible to stop this nomination. By all means possible. Think about that. By all means possible, before the nomination even came out. Now, people think that this Dr. Blasey Ford came up and said, oh my God, it's Brett Kavanaugh. I got to do something about that. No. That didn't happen that way. Everybody knew the final list. There was 4 people on the list. Brett Kavanaugh was one of them. Everybody out there knew President Trump was going to nominate one of these 4 people. That's when the left, the Democrat Socialist Party, the left, went into high gear. They started investigating and trying to find any little piece of dirt they could on all 4 people. So mark my words, if anybody got nominated, this same allegation would have been put forth. They probably even would have done the lesbian thing if there was the lady person or the lady judge. Oh, she was raped by a female and doing the same thing, putting her hand over her mouth and holding her down on the bed, and her friends laughing right along. Think about that, people. Would they go that far as to make up a story about being raped by another woman? Would they have done that just to advance their own agenda? Advancing an agenda, isn't that interesting? That's what the Democrats do. Well, that's what the Republicans do too. But it all depends on the agenda that you want to advance. Do you really want to help this country, or do you want to tear it down and destroy it? And to be honest with you, come November 6th, Tuesday, we will answer that very question. Do you want to advance America to the better, to the good, the way it should be? Or do you want to tear it down and make it a socialist America? That will be the question that will be answered. If the Democrats take control of the Senate and the House, everything that has been advanced will be pulled back. Nothing will be achieved for the next 6 years. And yes, President Trump will be reelected. But he will be abused for the next 6 years. So what are we going to do come November? All right, getting back to good old Senator Collins here. And I see XXX would announce opposition for before the nominee was even done. She goes on to say, since that time, we have seen special interest groups whip their followers into a frenzy by spreading misrepresentations and outright falsehood about Judge Kavanaugh's judicial record, over-the-top rhetoric, distortion of his record, and testimony at his first hearing produced short-lived headlines, which, although debunked hours later, continue to live on and be spread through social media. Interest groups have also spent an unprecedented amount of dark money opposing this nomination. Our Supreme Court confirmation process has been steadily declining for more than 30 years. And that's true. It's been declining huge for more than 30 years. And people are, I'm sure everybody understands what dark money is. People are giving money just to destroy somebody else, but they don't want to be known as giving money. So this is not like a political campaign. They can give money whomever they want to, i.e. GoFundMe. Now everyone's picking on good old Dr. Ford for getting almost $1 million now for the GoFundMe case. Don't have to report it. It's all donations. Now, from what I've heard, I've got to look it up to make sure it's true, that Judge Kavanaugh finally, somebody got up the gumption and started one for him, and it's about $500,000. So, for what he's been through, I don't think $500,000 is enough. But that being said, all right, let's see, going on. I'm not going to read the entire thing. I'm going to skip through here. One of the things that Senator Collins did was unprecedented on the floor of the Senate. And what I mean by that is she actually took the true case of Judge Brett Kavanaugh. She threw out all the BS that's being thrown around out there, all the lies, all the accusations, just because somebody said that this happened. Well, I tell you what, we're going to come back and continue on this more. I'm Russell Mays. This is KUNV. Be right back.
Hey, this is Blake Phillips. If you're into artists like Jason Isbell, Margot Price, Todd Snyder, Elizabeth Cook, or Sturgill Simpson, then check out Our Kind of Music. Saturdays, 6 to 8 p.m. right here on 91.5 Jazz and More. If it's Americana, roots rock, or alternative country, then that's Our Kind of Music. And it could be your kind of music too. Our Kind of Music. Saturdays, 6 to 8, part of the More in Jazz and More.
This is member-supported KUNV HD2 Las Vegas, the broadcast service of UNLV.
Yep, I'm Russell Mays. We're back. We're 26 minutes after the hour of 8 o'clock on a Saturday. Currently, right now, during the Senate on the floor, they're discussing the 30 hours of rhetoric that's being spoken by the senators for they call it the 30-minute or 30-hour discussion. And it used to be 100 hours, 1 hour for each senator to speak. But they broke it down because of media. Because when they instituted the 100 hours, that's when there was no television or radio. So the time frame was a lot less now because the points can get out to the masses faster. And that's what it's about right now. So it's 30 hours. And we're coming down. It should be a vote at about 12:30 Eastern Standard Time. He will be confirmed, probably about 52 votes, it looks like. I know Senator Murkowski is getting a lot of flack up there in Alaska for her swaying. And I'm sure that Senator Manchin is getting just as much from his party, too. But that's what the senators are there for, is to vote what their constituents want. The difference being, now I think I'm still doing some looking into this, Senator Manchin is voting the way his people want. It's a huge Republican state and he's a Democrat. And he knows if he doesn't vote the way they want, because they put him into office, he will lose his election. Senator Murkowski, on the other hand, is going against her people and the way they wanted her to vote. So now she's going to be under the gun. Now, this brings up an interesting scenario about this, too. We elect our senators and congressmen, to represent us in our government. Well, to be representative by our government. The reason is you can't have 315 million people all clamoring at White House saying this is the way we want to vote, so you have representatives. Well, it's come to pass that those representatives believe they are God, and they are not. They are our representatives. They are not there to become rich. Schumer, Pelosi, Maxine Waters, Pocahontas. And yes, I have to put McConnell and who's the other dude there? There's a bunch of them on the Republican side also that have been there a long time. But doggone it, you're in office to represent us. Do it. It was being confirmed most of the time for these judges, 98, 80, more. Now it's split right down the middle. It should not be that way. Personally, it's nice that the Vice President, Mike Pence, would come in and break a tying vote. And that's a nice caveat to have instilled within the voting system. But it should not have to come down to that. Because when it's split like that on party lines, that tells you that our representatives are not talking to each other. They are not discussing the issues. They are not complaining. They're complaining. Their biggest complaint right now over the Judge Kavanaugh confirmation is Roe versus Wade. Oh, he's going to overturn it. Oh, my God. Ooh. No, he's not going to overturn it. I think it's a disgusting outcome of the charges of abortion. But that's not what they're there for. They're not there to be emotionally motivated. They are there to judge according to the Constitution of the United States. So, let me go through this really quick. What I was saying. Senator Collins breaks it down really nice. She's the only one that's done this. And I've followed this closely. I watched all the speeches the best I could, that kind of thing. And she did not come out and say, you people are idiots because you want to kill babies. And then on the flip side, it says, you people are idiots because you're obstructing justice. You just don't want this person because Donald Trump got him voted in or nominated him. Which I think has a lot to do with a lot of it, to be honest with you. They're just against his nominations, period. So anyway, she breaks it down real briefly, and she goes on to say, she brought up things about Justice Roberts and Alito and Sotomayor and Kagan and those nominees. But what she does, she goes, so I begin by evaluation of Judge Kavanaugh's nomination by reviewing his 12-year record on the D.C. Circuit Courts of Appeals, including his more than 300 opinions and his many speeches and law review articles. 19 attorneys, including lawyers from the nonpartisan Congressional Research Service, briefed me many times each week and assisted me in evaluating the judge's extensive record. I met with Judge Kavanaugh for more than 2 hours in my office. I listened carefully to the testimony at the committee's hearing. I spoke with people who knew him personally, such as Condoleezza Rice and many others. I talked with Judge Kavanaugh a second time by phone for another hour and asked him very specifically additional questions. I also have met with thousands of constituents, both advocates, many opponents regarding Judge Kavanaugh. Okay. She broke it down like this of all his accomplishments, how he voted with and against certain issues that arose on the appeals court. I'm going to skip through a lot of this here, get to some of the meat of it all, because she goes through the entire, she broke it down, what case was this, what case was that, how was this confirmed. Okay, she goes on here, despite all this, all that was laid out in front of her, and laid out in front of every senator that voted. It was even there accessible to every protester out in the courtyards and in the halls. I have a feeling not many read it. Not many did their research, especially the protesters. They didn't research nothing. There's a couple of videos out there, whether you want to believe the videos or not, of them being sheer robots in what to say, what to do, and how to do it. That's scary. I can understand following a person that will rile up the crowd and get everybody rocking and rolling, but you don't sit there and you tell them to repeat exactly the way you said. That's regurgitation education, baby. So, she says, despite all this, after weeks of reviewing Judge Kavanaugh's record and record and listening to 32 hours, recorded it, they misprinted it here, recorded and listening to 32 hours of his testimony, the Senate's advice and consent was thrown into tailspin following the allegations of sexual assault by Professor Christine Blasey Ford. The confirmation, make sure I can read it. The confirmation process now involved evaluating whether or not Judge Kavanaugh committed sexual assault and lied about it to the Judicial Committee. She's right on this point. But they do not bring up the case that is Christine Blasey Ford lying to the committee or been set up by the Democrats. Some argued, she goes on to say, some argued that because this is a lifetime appointment to our highest court, the public interest requires that it be resolved against the nominee. Others see the public interest as embodied in our long-established tradition of affording to those accused of misconduct a presumption of innocence, or in cases in which the facts are unclear, they would argue that the question would be resolved in favor of the nominee. What does that mean? Simple facts. The presumption of innocence is now being used by the criminal entity, if you will. When presumption of innocence is actually utilized by someone who is innocent, it has no weight or bearing anymore. In the eyes of those that have blinders on, just because you say it happens doesn't mean it happened. Simple as that. If you think it happened and you come out and accuse somebody, I'm sorry. You better stand up there and accuse that person face to face. And if it's something as bad as a rape allegation, there's none of this stuff in court stuff. You get out there and you file charges, and then you get on a witness stand and you present your case. Everybody kept saying that this is not a trial. This is just a hearing. Well, they sure didn't take it that way. The only person that was on trial was Judge Brett Kavanaugh. His life was on trial over an accusation. His family, his children, will never forget this as long as they live. No matter what the outcome is tomorrow or today. Judge Kavanaugh will be on the Supreme Court. And yes, there will be all kinds of crying and protesting and people smashing things, and it's all coming from the left. Think about it. They actually trashed his house. Why? Because some woman said that he attempted rape without any proof or allegations after 36 years? Why? So she goes on to, continuing on. Mr. President, I understand both points of view, and this debate complicated further by the fact that the Senate confirmation process is not a trial. That's the key right there. It's not a trial. Which means all the stuff they were asking for during the FBI investigation is only an investigation. It's not to say that he's guilty, not guilty. It's not to say that she's telling the truth or not telling the truth. They only investigate. And they were calling for, oh my God, that happened yesterday. Oh, we need to get DNA samples. It's not a trial. If you want to investigate, you had all the time in the world to do all this. But they waited. Okay, so one of the things that she did say, let's see, but certain fundamentally legal principles about due process, the presumption of innocence, and fairness to bear on my thinking, I cannot abandon them in evaluating any given claim of misconduct. We will be ill-served in the long republic if we abandon the presumption of innocence and fairness, attempting though it may be. She's saying there that if they abandon those principles, our system is dead. It's on the verge of death now because of the way things are done. She continues to say, we must always remember that it is when passions are most inflamed that fairness is most in jeopardy. Fairness is in jeopardy when you have people so blinded to their points of view that they're not willing to either listen to the other side or even accept the fact that it could be possible. It reared its ugly head big time in this. If it wasn't for Lindsey Graham making the statement that he did that day, firing up the other senators to back Judge Kavanaugh, they would have fried this man. Nobody came to his aid until Lindsey Graham said that. Nobody. That's where the fairness became in jeopardy. A bunch of whining representatives of the American people. And I got the image of a crib full of babies just crying because they can't have what they have. Okay. And she goes on to say, I worry that departing from this presumption could lead to a lack of public faith in the judiciary system, would be hugely damaging the confirmation process moving forward. And she is so right on that. And what I mean by that is her viewpoints on how justices will be confirmed from now on will never be the same. You are going to see this time and time again. And President Trump will be nominating another justice before the end of his term. And you think it's bad now? Woo, baby. Hold on to your hats. It's going to be rocking and rolling. Okay, she goes on to say, Mr. President, I listened carefully to Christine Blasey Ford's testimony before the Judiciary Committee. I found her testimony to be sincere, painful, and compelling. I believe that she is a survivor of a sexual assault, and this trauma has upended her life. Nevertheless, the 4 witnesses she named could not corroborate any of the events of that evening gathering where she says the assault occurred. None of the individuals, Professor Ford said, were at the party has recollection of all of that night. The judge denies this, and now we have the status. But here's the thing. Senator Collins is really correct on this. There is no corroborating evidence. Nobody even said the party happened. But yet, the radical left and those idiots in the hallway screaming at our senators could care less. They want their 15 minutes of fame. And I love the statement of the one saying, well, I got arrested. Please. To be arrested on a protesting charge nowadays is you go down and get your fingerprints with ink on it. It's not even ink anymore. It's all computer digital. And you have your picture taken. It's like someone else doing a selfie. I would love to see them arrested during the 60s. When Martin Luther King was arrested, thrown into jail for 2 weeks, and beaten. See how these snowflakes handle that. Oh, I was arrested because I was yelling at a senator. Big deal. George Bush had a shoe thrown at him. Ooh, all right? Let's get real. She really gets off, and she says here, Mr. President, the Constitution does not provide guidance on how we are supposed to evaluate these competing claims. Competing claims. Okay. Evaluate the claims. It leaves that decision up to each senator. This is not a criminal trial, and I do not believe that claims such as these need to be proved beyond a reasonable doubt. Nevertheless, fairness of this trivial problem. Boy, she's using some good words here. I can't even speak right today. I have been alarmed and disturbed, however, by some who have suggested that unless Judge Kavanaugh's nomination is rejected, the Senate somehow is condoning sexual assault. Are you for real? How can you people actually say that if you nominate and back this man, that you're condoning sexual assault? Unbelievable. People. Unbelievable. The thing is, it was already a proven fact. No matter what I say, no matter what I do, this is me personally, no matter what the Senate says, no matter what the media says, no matter how many people jump up and down and scream and yell, it did not change anything. The moment Judge Kavanaugh's name was put as the nomination. Chuck Schumer came out and said he would fight this nomination by all means possible. At that point in time, everything that was done as a vicious, vile methodology to destroy a man just because he was nominated by our president. They even said, if you go back through and listen to a lot of the rhetoric that they were talking about, they even said that they don't care if it was Judge Brett Kavanaugh. The only thing they cared about was that President Trump nominated him. That is their hate. That is what drives them. That is the reason why the American people turned on them. You cannot force people into believing in your hate. One thing is definitely for sure in this world. No matter how much a person wants power, money, whatever, somebody will undermine them for it. No matter how much you want to do good for people or the country, someone will undermine you for it. That's what our world has. You have all these huggy-wuggy people saying, let peace be throughout the world. Well, they're only saying that here in the United States because they can get away with it. There's evil in this world. I do believe that the Democrat social left is bringing that evil to our country. Okay, now I gotta get yelled at here. Okay, I gotta press it. Well, not everybody's that way. No, they're not. Not all Democrats are evil. But if you're a non-evil Democratic senator and you believe in the rights of others, I tell you exactly what you tell us. If you're voting against Brett Kavanaugh, that means you do not believe in the rule of law, a presumed innocent. That means you're willing to trash the Constitution just because you vote lockstep with your party. So, if you pink-headed people want to accuse a conservative Republican right-winger of condoning sexual rape, misconduct, because they're voting for Judge Kavanaugh, I tell you exactly the same. The reason why you don't want him there is, if you're bringing up the abortion thing, is because you want to kill your baby. So why should we condone you killing a child under no basis of foundations of that's what you're about? But I'm a good person. I believe in women's health. What does killing a baby have to do with women's health? That's, I I've never been able to follow that logic at all. Nobody can explain it to me. Anyway, running long and short here. Okay, she says, but the facts remain. Mr. President, someone leaked this letter. Oh, I've got to jump back up here. She says, now, one theory I heard espouses repeatedly in the colleagues that our colleague, Senator Feinstein, leaked Professor Ford's letter at the 11th hour to derail the process. She goes on to state, I want to state this very clearly. She knows Senator Feinstein extremely well, and she believes that she would never do that. I knew that to be the case before even stated it at the hearing. She is a person of integrity, and I stand by her. Okay. There is no proof that Senator Feinstein leaked the letter. We are going on her word that she did not do that. Senator Collins backs her on her word because she knows her, so she says. And I have to take her word for it that she says. But she does not say that leaking the letter did not happen. Somebody leaked it. And because of the close-knit circle involved with it, the media, the letter, and the certain 3 people that had access to it, somebody knows, and that's proof. Me personally, I believe Senator Feinstein did not give the order to leak the letter. But I think she was in a room full of people that had the letter and going, wouldn't it be nice for the press to see this? Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. So, if you look at the facts in the court case, she did not give the order. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. All right, then she goes on to say, but the facts remain, Mr. President. Someone leaked this letter against Professor Ford's expressed wishes. I suspect regrettably that we will never know for certain who did it. She's covering for her own people because she doesn't want the investigation to go in. Okay, so that's perfectly fine. She doesn't want it to get any worse. I think the people should know who leaked the letter. A couple other things about this so-called anonymous person leaking the letter. If Professor Christine Ford, Blasey Ford, did not want to be known, the hearsay, just say like they did everything that was there. Senator Feinstein's office could not put as evidence against Brett Kavanaugh saying, I have a letter here saying someone that said that he raped her. That would just fall. They needed her to be marched out and ridiculed in public. That is the only way this turmoil and chaos would work. And it almost did. But if they did what she actually wanted to say that she did, she wanted to keep it confidential, then it never would have worked. It would have been just, oh, will you stop? Shut up. Don't say it. But they marched her out there. They primmed and propered her, and a whole bunch of legal help and whatever else. A polygraph test done in a hotel room. Only 2 questions asked, if you ever read that. I personally do not believe this woman's story. I call it... Anyway, I better wrap this up real quick. Anyway, in the end, let me skip to the end here real quick. She said, Mr. President, I will vote to confirm Judge Kavanaugh. Thank you, Mr. President. We got about 30 seconds left here, and I do get to ranting and raving quite a bit. I thank everybody on Facebook that joined me today. I thank everybody that's listening in at www.therebelhd2.com and everybody here in Las Vegas that keeps me going on a Saturday morning. Take care. Enjoy life. All the other good stuff that comes along. Bye-bye.
Heard on the Rebel. HD2. KUNV Las Vegas.